Alright guys, so we wrapped up this 370Z that came in for a couple things. First what we did was we replaced the factory transmount with a Z1 urethane.
Alright, so we've got our oil pan off Roselio's G37. You can see the metal pieces we have in there, and that's because a intake retainer has broken.
Alright guys, so we wrapped up this 370Z that came in for a couple things. First what we did was we replaced the factory transmount with a Z1 urethane transmount. Yeah, that was a quick little install. He will be noticing a little more vibration. Usually the stock units are really good for NVH, and we really don't recommend usually going for upgraded, I guess, stiffer bushings, but customer wanted it, he brought it to us, so we did it. As you can see, we also did a Motordyne catback. So we got that installed, and then if we come back here, so then we also did the GK Tech diff brace. Along with that installation, we also went ahead and did solid bushings on the differential. So these are SPL solid bushings, solid aluminum bushings. We got that all taken care of. New diff fluid, now she's ready to go. We're gonna turn her on right now and see how she sounds.
All right, so we've got our oil pan off Roselio's G37, and I'm not too surprised by it, but I'm glad we're catching it. You can see the metal pieces we have in there, and that's because a intake retainer has broken. So thankfully it hasn't caused any damage. Engine still runs good, compression's good, but this is just going to get worse and definitely be a problem. So thankfully we're gonna be doing all our valvetrain replacements because we're doing the JWT stuff, so we'll be replacing all these retainers and upgrading to the steel versions with the Beehive valve springs from JWT. All right, guys, we've all wrapped up on the dyno. Had the motor out of this bad boy, upgraded it with the new Z1 ball bearing turbos. It's got 2 low pressure fuel pumps that we've already installed about a year ago. Stage 3, 405 liter per hour AMS high pressure pump. And we've got now the stage 2 fuel injectors in there. So with full ethanol content that this thing has, we knew it's basically going to be bringing us down in power. If we were to run E50, E60, we can get away with a little bit more power. Probably a good idea to mix it with some race gas just to make sure it's a little bit on the safer side. Some guys do just run straight E50, E60 with either 91 or 93, but since you're pushing a lot of power on a stock motor, it's probably not a bad idea to run a race fuel to be on the safe side. But seeing as this car is complete street car use, Perry wants to run full 85, not have to worry about mixing ethanol content. So we've tuned it for that. So you can see what we've got this thing this thing up to almost 650, 660 wheel, but we're definitely out of fuel with such a high ethanol content that we're running. So we are gonna leave it at about low 600s, 618 wheel is nice and safe. Our air fuel is pretty steady. Fuel pressure drops just a tiny bit, but it's able to maintain and hold that power. So we got to keep that in mind when it goes back on the road. It's going to see a lot higher demand and load than what we're putting it on the dyno with. So nonetheless, it did fantastic. It's making great power, and it's really, we're making another easy 150, 200 horsepower with this turbo upgrade. And the best thing about it is it's better for the engine. So, I always tell people, you can make 500 wheel on the stock turbos, but you're really pushing the crap out of it. You are driving your exhaust back pressure up super, super high, which is bad for the motor. So, there's a moment there where power isn't the same, right? 500 wheel on stock turbos isn't the same, and hard on the motor is 500 wheel on bigger turbos like these Z1 turbos. Your back pressure is gonna essentially come way, way down, which is gonna be much better for the motor. You're gonna have, less issues with head gaskets and melting stuff. So yeah, really, really good. These VR30s, especially with upgraded turbos and all of these new parts, we can really make a lot of good power safely with them. All right, guys, as you can see, red, we almost got up to 660 wheel. I ended up stopping the run just because we started to lean out quite a bit. And, really, really good. It was gonna start going, if we went to red line, probably end up making around 670 wheel with this bad boy if we were to take it that far. But again, with it leaning out, don't wanna do that. 25 pounds of boost, and probably with another pound or more, we can hit 700 wheel, lowering our ethanol content. And but this is where we're gonna keep it. 22 pounds of boost, 618 wheel, and 549 foot-pounds of torque. So really, really nice, usable power band.